Hello, in this presentation I wish to address our goals and objectives that you find in our syllabus for the pastoral care class. You must have noticed that there are three main goals: to nurture our identity and vocation as Christian pastoral caregivers, to enhance our understanding of and theological reflection on pastoral care as a ministry of the Church, and to be equipped with practical knowledge, skills, and tools to further our care practice. And they had to do with what around here at AMBS have been calling competencies of being, knowing, and doing, respectively. For our part, we can call them also competence in pastoral wisdom. I wanted to review this with you briefly today because they really correlate directly with the exercise on competencies that you will be doing very soon. So on the board here I have a very simple diagram: doing, knowing, being. Knowing having to do with academic interdisciplinary competence, doing with professional ministerial competence, and being personal spiritual competence. Now, I want to call your attention to the fact that we are here explicitly correlating the goals and objectives of this class with what the seminary holds as we can call as a philosophy of theological education, and which includes a reference to these very dimensions: knowing, doing, and being. I will be sending your way a separate, by email, very likely, a very short essay, just 3 pages, that I wrote for our faculty on this question of the title is Holistic Formation in Theological Education. I wrote that for our faculty conversation. I think it will help you to do 2 things. One is to appreciate better, more clearly, the consistency that we seek to maintain between the goals in this class with the larger educational goals of the seminary. And secondly, the correlation, the direct correlation between these goals and the competencies for excellent, competent, and faithful, we might say, caregiving. So hopefully our class will contribute to develop those competencies that have to do with ways of knowing and seeing, with ways, with attitudes, and with skills and resources, and so on. I also want to call your attention to the fact that one thing is the kind of goals that we in ministry set for ourselves, and what I prefer to call the aspirations we have for the people we minister with or to. For example, in preaching, and I enjoy preaching, especially in Spanish, when I preach, I have some objectives that I'm responsible for meeting. For example, coming to the service fresh, motivated, having studied the passage and done the best possible job of crafting the homily, etc., etc. But I also have aspirations for the congregation. I hope that my preaching will contribute to some form of spiritual growth in the manner of better understanding of certain passage, or how the biblical passage illumines life situation, helping the congregation in decision making, and persons in particular, and so on and so forth. This is a very important distinction in caregiving. For example, counseling, I might have, and frankly the more experience one has, the better one becomes at anticipating a certain sense of direction that a couple, for example, or a person, a family, should take if they were going forward, if they were going to resolve a given situation. But that doesn't mean that it's the same thing that the people we serve will hold. So we have to negotiate the goals that we assume that together we will meet in a caregiving situation with what people really want. In other words, it shouldn't be taken for granted. Remember, for example, when Jesus asked the paralytic man, "Do you really want to be healed?" Jesus would want to help him, but it was important for that man to respond, to have agency. So there is something empowering about that, and we want to maintain that kind of distinction and connection. I hope this is helpful, because I'm inviting you to do two things. One, in this class, one is to appropriate the best you can those goals and objectives identified in on the first page in the syllabus, but also to correlate it with your own. As I say, I will be sending your way this short essay that I think will contribute to common understandings about our sense of direction in this class. So, thank you in advance for your consideration of this matter. And feel free to contact me if there are other questions, comments, criticisms, and suggestions that you might have.